Welcome to the couch. Today I'm joined by two guests, Ewan Grant and Eli Phillips. They're both my roommates. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
I've been here before. I'm Eli. I'm new to the couch, but I've been on my feet all day, so I'm very excited to finally sit down on the couch.
Oh my, that was terrible. Wow. Okay.
I like your use of the couch in three times in less than 2 seconds.
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be here with Julian and Ewan.
Can we figure out how many times you're going to say the couch in the entire thing?
At least two.
Okay, well, we're going to be talking about Super Bowl stuff today. Obviously, it's Saturday, the day before the Super Bowl. The big game's coming up. I'm excited. I'm nervous, Eagles fan myself. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? I think we should just hop into our predictions. You want to go first?
Okay, I can go first. So I'm not very, knowledgeable super about the sport of football or passing the rock, as some people might say. Don't press the button. Don't press the button. But ultimately, I think the Chiefs will probably get a win out of this year's Super Bowl. I think Patrick Mahomes is really talented. I think he's going to be moving a lot on his feet. He's got a good wide receiving core, like Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce. Those three are going to be big names, getting a lot of catches. I think they're going to be playing a lot through the air. And I don't know if the Eagles' defense is going to really stop that.
Okay. I mean, the number one defense in the league.
Yeah, the number one defense in the league. They're good. I don't know if they can stop Patrick Mahomes and his magic.
Okay. Ewan, who do you got tomorrow?
How many times did you rehearse that in your head?
Four.
Four.
I think it'll be a close game. I think the Eagles edge out the win here.
I live with both of you. If you pick the Chiefs too, you should be scared.
I just hope.
I literally sleep in the room next to you.
I hope
that's a threat. I want the listeners at home to know that was a threat.
Yeah. All 17 viewers. I know my dad's listening to this right now.
Hi, BT Grant.
Yeah, shout out.
Grant.
Shout out BT Grant.
All 17 viewers of the couch should know that was a threat. Yeah.
Yeah. So wait, what do you got score wise?
0-2. Eagles.
All right,
Eagles went off a safety, and that's it.
there you go. Patrick Mahomes
Actually,
breaks
you know
his
what?
leg.
No, 1-0. First 1 point safety in NFL history.
28-17, calling it right now, guys. Put some money on it.
Put some money on it.
Yeah, 28-17, Chiefs.
Jeez,
We cannot legally give you betting advice.
I don't know if that's true, but we probably shouldn't.
Don't put money on that. Don't put money on that. I know nothing.
I think obviously I'm gonna go Eagles, but I think it's gonna be relatively low scoring compared to the last game because I think Spags and the Chiefs defense is gonna do a good job getting pressure, but I also think that the Eagles defense is there's so much talent at each level that it's gonna be hard for Mahomes to really and the Chiefs to be able to force the ball down the field. So I think I'm gonna go 24-20 Eagles. I think that especially with how dominant we are running the ball, I think that's going to be the major game plan is to take up as much time. So I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as last time, but the Eagles need to win this one. I can't look at it. I can't deal with another Chiefs win over the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Do you guys still have James Bradbury?
He's on the roster. He doesn't play. He's
Did
been
you
on
guys move him
IR.
to like safety?
We moved him to safety in training camp, and then he got hurt, and he hasn't played all season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You think there'll be another James Bradbury mishap late in the game?
I really don't think so. That call was so bad. Like, I can't imagine that happening again. But there's going to be bad calls. There's always going to be bad calls, especially when we play the Chiefs.
The phantom 15-yard roughing the passer penalty.
Dude, I cannot believe that guy went up to Travis Kelce at the...
That was so funny. That guy's my hero.
No, that was so embarrassing.
Oh, the reporter? Is that what you're talking about? Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't even think he was a reporter. He was probably some teenager or like young guy who went and was like,
Well, he's going places. He's asking hard-hitting questions.
That was the stupidest question I've ever heard.
It was hilarious.
whoa.
The people want to know. The people want to know. Does Travis Kelce love Taylor Swift or phantom 15-yard roughing the passer penalties more?
I know the answer I'd pick.
Oh, Lord. But yeah, so I think we got two Eagles. Me and you and Wright are going for Eagles, and then you think the Chiefs are going to win.
I don't want the Chiefs to win, but I think they'll win.
Yeah, and it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes. It's what I've been saying kind of all season is you can't really bet Patrick Mahomes to lose because he doesn't make very many mistakes, and he's
That's true.
He makes very good decisions with the ball. So, but I think the key thing to stopping Mahomes for the Eagles is going to be getting pressure, especially trying to beat those tackles. It's something that the Chiefs' offensive line has struggled with all season. Jawan Taylor obviously struggling with penalties.
False start merchant.
False start merchant. But I think that Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat are going to be some of the key players for this game.
Well, and Brandon Graham's coming back too.
Yeah, and Brandon Graham is coming back. I think that he's going to have himself a game. I don't know how much he's going to play, mostly because our defense has been playing really well throughout.
Yeah,
the
Nolan
playoffs.
Smith has been having a really good time since Graham went out.
Yeah, and so I think that those three guys definitely that's going to be really important for the Chiefs defense.
Yeah.
For the Eagles defense to stop the Chiefs. But Eli, what is your key to the game? What group of players do you think is gonna have to step up for their side to win?
Well, I think it's honestly going to be the Chiefs' front line, like the front seven. I think is that the right term for the defense. Again, I don't know too much about
Oh
football,
Lord.
but I think that
Hold up, let him cook.
the Chiefs get pressure off on Jalen Hurts. He's proven that he can't perform well under pressure. So I think if they can just, like you said, Spags defense, if they continue to show that they can be adaptive, they stopped Josh Allen pretty well. They can continue to show they can adapt to the football field and what the quarterback does. That front seven could put up pressure on Jalen Hurts. I think they'll get away with a nice win. And then for the Eagles side, I think you got to see the receivers step up. I mean, Saquon's already going to do what Saquon's going to do. He can't carry the whole game on his shoulders as much as I think he'd like to, and he might have to. But I think the receivers got to step up, and Jalen Hurts has got to make some big throws.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think getting pressure on Hurts because last year when they played the Bucs, that was kind of the nail in the coffin to them beating us in that wild card game. But I will say that Hurts has performed under pressure a lot better this season, especially in the last game against the Commanders. I think in that game he was, I like to say like 80% completion, and he didn't get sacked at all when they blitzed. So that's going to be an interesting matchup because the Chiefs defense is insanely better than the Commanders. So if they continue to do that, will that trend continue? But
you said 80% completion. Let's get Terry, our analytics guy, to look that up real fast. Terry.
Terry?
Hey,
Terry?
Jamie, pull up Patrick
That's his name.
Jalen
I was
Hurts.
trying to think of Jamie. That's his name. I couldn't remember his name.
Pull up Jalen Hurts' completion percentage under pressure against the Commanders.
Here, let me look it up. But you, in the meantime, what are your key players or key factors to the game?
Enlighten us.
I think for the Eagles, on the Eagles side of the ball, thanks for that, Eli. For all the viewers at home, Eli just flipped me off. So, fan hated now. I think the key for the Eagles is maintaining the integrity of the offensive line. I think George Karlaftis and Chris Jones are an incredible defensive line duo, and we saw how they really just dismantled Josh Allen in that AFC Championship game. So I think really the key is going to be mostly on Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata. Although Landon Dickerson and Mekhi Becton are definitely going to have to do their fair share of work against Chris Jones, but the Chiefs rotate Chris Jones outside fairly often. So I think really it'll come down to those tackles in Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata, and I think for the Chiefs, honestly for the Chiefs, I think they'll really have to lock in on the passing game. I feel like most of their corner wide receiver matchups this game for the Eagles and Chiefs respectively are pretty uneven. Like what their best receiver out there is Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins,
And that's a debate in itself. Like I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, like Travis Kelce he's gonna get open at some point. But I mean, Zach Bond has been great in cover, has proven to be amazing in coverage. Quinyon Mitchell's having a great year. So really for the Chiefs, I think it's really just going to be stepping up when it comes to passing the ball. I mean, Mahomes is going to have no issue on his end, but it really needs to be his receivers stepping up.
Yeah.
And that's something that's kind of been a factor all season, and why some of these games have been so close, because the struggles at the receiver position, either with Rashee Rice being hurt or Hollywood Brown being hurt, and then not having DeAndre. Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be tough for these Chiefs receivers to get open, but they need to be able to find ways to get open.
Yeah.
And even you mentioned Travis Kelce. I think that he's going to have a huge game. If you look,
I'm
if
sure.
you look into even last week against the Commanders, the Eagles defense gave Zach Ertz, I think it was 11 or 12 catches.
Yeah,
and
I do remember seeing something like
my
that.
parlay hit. I can tell you that.
yeah,
And
and
receptions.
and so Travis Kelce he's really good at finding the holes in the defense, and so I think that Zach Bond and Orrin Brooks versus Travis Kelce, whoever is going to be on him, I think that's going to be a fun and interesting matchup to watch.
I agree.
Because that Mahomes is going to be trying to target him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, he finds the holes in defense. He makes it look like Swiss cheese out there. It's just crazy. Don't play it. Don't play it.
We just found out that this little mixing board has sounds put in, and I'm gonna go crazy. It's so funny.
Hey, Eli, say something dumb.
Say something. Say a zinger.
Yeah, say a zinger.
You can't put me on the spot like this in front of the viewers.
Hey, you're funny. Say something funny.
Yeah, make a funny joke, bro.
Why is it so hard to eat a clock? Because
Why?
it's made of metal and shit and stuff. Hey, that was a good one. I'll take it. That was a good one.
Oh my god. Anyways, but moving on from like the key factors, I want to talk about Saquon because in my mind I'm kind of torn on how well he's going to do because obviously he's the key factor of this Eagles offense, and I think he's probably the most important player in the game.
Yeah.
Right now his line is at 113.5 for rushing yards. Do you think he's going to be at over or under that?
Over. I over.
79% of the money is over. People
Yeah.
betting the over.
Yeah, that's a good question because, I mean, Saquon's going to Saquon. He's going to run a lot. They're going to hand the ball off to him a lot. I think he will get the over. But don't they, like, historically, don't rushers not do very well in the Super Bowl? I may be completely making that up, but I feel like there's not a whole lot of run-heavy games in the Super Bowl.
There's definitely been good games. Like the leading guy, he was a rookie for the Commanders. We had 205, I believe.
Oh, okay. Then never mind.
I mean,
think he'll get it,
but most teams in the recent history have been very pass heavy.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's it's a game that's only happened 58 times so far. So it's there's probably not a lot of great run games.
I would smash the over on the Saquon.
Yeah,
I mean, how many yards did he put up against that Commanders defensive line? Their defensive line is pretty good.
I think it was
Dante Fowler, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen. You got Frankie Louvu playing middle linebacker.
Okay, Ewan.
Bobby Wagner. Oh no, Frankie Louvu might be an outside linebacker. Anyways, you have Frankie
middle
Louvu and he's a what?
He's a middle linebacker.
Okay. You have Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner playing linebacker, and he put up like well over 100.
Oh yeah.
His first touch was a 60-yard touchdown. Yeah,
65, I think.
What date was that? It was 126. He had 118. So that was actually his worst game against the Commanders. One of his worst games against the Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, one of his worst games, and he still put up 118.
Actually, no. Sorry, I don't know why it's ranked like this. But sorry, I'm looking at StatMuse and it was ranked at the bottom for some reason. But it was his worst game this season against the Commanders. But that was also because we took him out.
Yeah, that's
I mean, you guys were blowing him out, and you started. Yeah,
paused.
Bruh.
sorry. Okay, my bad, guys.
Wait,
What?
you were blowing him out.
That's gonna get so abused.
I saw you eye on the soundboard. I knew you were about to do something.
Yeah,
Can you play the funny sound.
play the funny sound. Yeah, I think you gotta crush. I think you gotta take the over, mostly because, and in like the past 3 games, he's had that big rushing touchdown, 60 plus. I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna get a big chunk of that from that. But also, if you look at the Chiefs defense, I think they're ranked pretty solid in run defense, but they have given up some big games to guys like Joe Mixon. I think Javonte Williams was the other guy. Chiefs.
Yeah, I think that was when the Broncos lost by the doinked field goal. Javonte Williams had a pretty good game against them. Because I remember seeing him, I was like, I think I almost picked him up on fantasy.
Oh yeah, the 3 of us are in a fantasy league together. Don't know if the viewers knew that, but
Oh my gosh.
that's when I did in fact win that fantasy championship for the 2nd year in a row.
So lucky.
Not like at all pure skill.
No, it was entirely luck.
No, it was everything I
if I
drafted
didn't-
was
if I-
drafted with precision.
If the Bengals defense didn't put up 24 in the playoffs against me, I would have beat everyone else and beaten you.
Have you considered crying and coping?
Actually, no, I haven't considered that yet. My fault. But yeah, like this Kansas City defense has given up some good games to running backs, and I think that this is probably one of the better O-lines, or if not the best O-line they faced. So I think that the over is a really good bet. Not even just for betting, but to bet on the Eagles being able to have Saquon be a factor.
Yeah. I agree.
But what else? What else do you guys want to talk about for the Super Bowl? I mean, I feel like I've just seen so much media about it all over the place that like it's
What else
all
you
ingrained
gonna
in my
say?
head.
Yeah, like what else are you gonna say that hasn't been said before?
No, not like that. Just I mean,
sorry. my
I mean,
fault.
I just mean like everything's just so talked about. And what Eli? Remember when you said the other day? Was it Fox Sports or is it CBS that had like the rankings of the players and the coaches and
Oh yeah, I think that was.
Oh, was that like the side-by-side graphic?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like they were on like a
Yeah, I
line or
saw that,
something.
yeah.
It put like Nick Sirianni right next to Andy Reid, which infuriated
Yeah.
me.
yeah?
Yeah,
So
I saw that one too, and I was a little confused by that.
Yeah.
how close do you think that Nick Sirianni is to Andy Reid?
He's nowhere near as.
Hold on, let me give some facts.
Okay, yeah, him
Made the playoffs all 4 of his first seasons.
Okay,
He's made the Super Bowl in 2,
okay,
and he's had 2 of the best rushing offenses. Actually, maybe 3 of the best rushing offenses in each one of those years. Now he has had some problems with being emotional, but his players love him. So I don't agree that he's close to Andy Reid, but how close? Where do you rank him in the NFL right now of head coaches? Nick Sirianni.
Oh,
The NFL
I
right
thought you
now?
were going to be saying comparative to Andy Reid.
No, I think Andy Reid is probably the best head coach.
yeah, and I think Andy.
So
Reid's
one, where's Nick Sirianni? I don't think that it's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, but I think that it's interesting to talk about where from there you go.
Yeah, I mean he's probably top 10. I would give him top 10.
I would give him top 10 too, but like closer to the bottom.
Yeah, like Sean McVay beats
Like
him.
9 or 10.
So let me give you guys some coaches, and you say that if Nick Sirianni's better or worse.
Okay.
Mike Tomlin.
Ooh,
Oh,
that's a tough
no.
one right off the bat.
Oh God, I don't know.
I would say Mike Tomlin's better. To me.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin has had a much longer career, and he's never had a losing season. Although he's never won a Super Bowl, has he?
I think he has.
won a Super
Oh,
Bowl.
he did.
Yes.
Okay, then yes, Mike Tomlin's better.
But, I mean, he's Mike Tom. To be fair to Mike Tom or to Nick Sirianni, Mike Tomlin's career is in like mediocrity. You know, like just making the bare minimum. He's won a Super Bowl, yeah, but he doesn't really do a lot now. And that's a lot of I think the Steelers' problems does stem from coaching.
It's also a very old way of running a football team. Like
Yeah, exactly.
they focus on the defense and grinding out games, which will win you games. But coming to playoffs, when you get into these close games, sometimes you need those X factors, and they just don't have that.
Exactly.
So who are you guys going? Tomlin or Nick Sirianni?
I'm going Tomlin.
I would go Tomlin.
Tomlin. Okay. Okay. What about Dan Campbell? Very similar style of coaching, I think. Neither of them call plays. Very aggressive, very the emotional leader of the team. So who are you guys taking? Because they have a very similar career path.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, what were you gonna say?
I would just say look at what the Lions were.
You mean the Commanders?
No, the
Oh,
Lions.
Dan Campbell. Sorry, I heard Dan Quinn.
Yeah, the Lions. You had me scared for a moment there. I was know my coaches. Like look what the Lions were before Dan Campbell, and look at them now. Look at that dramatic change.
Mhm.
I mean, the Eagles were still pretty good without Nick Sirianni. You know, I mean, I don't know exactly when he started being the Eagles head coach, but it was
We went from Doug Peterson to Nick Sirianni.
Okay. I mean, you were coming off a Super Bowl win.
It was a few years after that. It was,
A Super Bowl win.
yeah.
Who was your guys' coordinator last year? OC
Brian Johnson,
Ryan Johnson.
and he called plays.
Okay.
Where's he now?
I honestly don't know. I have no idea where he went.
Ryan Johnson. And who's your DC before that? Because you guys just
It was Matt Patricia,
Oh
and
God, good
for
lord.
a few games, and is it Sean Desai? It was Sean Desai.
Oh, Sean Desai. Yeah, he used to be on the Bears.
Yeah, but he was not very good for us.
Yeah.
Most players from the Bears are not that good, to be fair.
He was a
But
coach.
still-
He was a
Same
coach,
thing.
buddy.
It's that organization. It's that organization.
Oh yeah, you're
But,
a Colts fan,
I
bro.
mean-
Jim Irsay, that's all I gotta say.
For last season, both offensive defense was around the 15 mark in ranked, but we
Yeah.
were still made the playoffs and still had a really good record.
Yeah.
So that's I agree with you looking at like how they were before Dan Campbell and what they were after, but I think that Nick Sirianni, they weren't very good that last season with Doug Peterson. They were not good.
Yeah, but the Lions were like historically bad.
Oh, well, they were trending upwards.
I think the Lions were coming off of the number 1 overall pick, weren't they? When Dan Campbell got hired, wasn't he? Because that's when they took. Oh no, sorry, it was the number 2 because they took Hutch. They took Hutchinson that year.
But even the first season with Dan Campbell, they still weren't very.
No, they were terrible that first
Yeah,
year.
I mean, they're
but
still
like,
bad.
I mean, and then they
No,
took.
no. They got the number 1 seed this year.
The second half of the season, they started to catch up. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who do we got? Is it Dan Campbell or Nick Sirianni?
It's Dan Campbell for me.
I don't. So here's the thing with both of them, right?
Mhm.
Especially this year. For both Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni, their coordinators are very good. Like Vic Fangio is probably, outside of Steve Spagnuolo, probably the best defensive coordinator in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, again, he's been running the number 1 defense in the NFL right now. Kellen Moore was a much better OC this year than I thought he would be coming out of the Cowboys. He came from the Cowboys. No, Chargers. Yeah. And then Dan Campbell has Aaron Glenn. Well, not anymore. Aaron Glenn, who's been a really good defensive coordinator since Campbell was hired, and Ben Johnson, who's now the Bears head coach. Yippee for me. And is, has been touted to be one of the. I mean, he's run the top 5 offense in almost every category since taking over play calling. So, that's kind of the dichotomy here for me is like, Nick Sirianni and Dan Campbell to me are both good head coaches. Are they both good head coaches because they have good mentality and connection with their players, or is it they're good head coaches because who calls your guys' offense?
Kellen Moore.
Kellen
But
Moore?
I will say the first few games of that the season we went to the Super Bowl the last time we played the Chiefs, Nick Sirianni was calling plays,
Yeah,
and then he let Shane Steichen take over. So I don't think that he's a bad play caller, and I'm not saying that. I don't know if Dan Campbell has ever called plays for either side,
I have no idea.
and I have.
I'll tell you.
And so for me, the way I'm looking at it is just who's had more success. You're right; they're both relying on coordinators. They both,
I mean, and being reliant on coordinators that's not a bad thing. That's what
well,
you're
I mean,
supposed to
coordinators
do.
are important, but
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying is like they both have always had good coordinators, and they have the very similar, like style of just being the team leader and being accountable and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But one has just clearly had better success.
I would have to give.
There's one guy who has made it to 2 Super Bowls, and there's one guy who has fallen short twice in a row.
I would, at this point, I would have to give it to just barely give it to Dan Campbell for 2 reasons. I think Nick Sirianni is a little less mature.
I agree with that.
And I think looking at the situation that not saying that the situation that Nick Sirianni walked into was amazing, but again, like walking into that situation as Dan Campbell and then winning the conference for the first time in however many years.
It was like 20, right?
It was a
think it was
long
longer than
time.
that.
I think it was like, I could be totally wrong and lying right now, but I think it was closer to like 40 or 50
No.
since the last time. I think it was a
40
long
years, like the
time.
80s. They were good in the 80s.
I don't know.
It might be the first time they got. Might be the first time they got the number 1 seed since they.
I think this was the first time they got the number 1 seed ever this year.
Is that?
Campbell squad.
or in forever.
Jamie
or in
looked that one
forever.
up.
Yeah, Jamie.
It was Campbell led them to the first playoff run since 2016 and first playoff win since 1991
I'm talking about
and
the,
first NFC North title. So that was the same year.
So 1991.
So 1991. So it's
20 years.
Yeah.
Right.
about 20, 23.
30. It's almost 30.
Almost
Yeah, round up.
Yeah, round up. I'm trying to prove my point.
some math.
I would barely just give it to Dan Campbell.
I would
Just
do the same.
barely.
And I get your reasoning, but I think that Nick Sirianni, if you just look at it straight from the production wise, I mean, both teams are great. They're both super teams,
Oh yeah.
and I think I have to barely give it to Sirianni because of the production, because he's made it there, and also coming off that collapse last season where you think
Yeah.
that it's doomed,
Yeah.
and he's able to reestablish the culture. There's stories about him and Hurts not being cool with each other. You go out in training camp, they're riding around a golf cart having fun. Like, I think that his ability to restore a good culture is something that we haven't seen from Dan Campbell, which is, it's good. He hasn't lost the culture, but it also
I think Dan
means
Campbell
that
created the Lions.
Yeah,
culture
that's
as
what
a-
I would
he-
argue that.
he entirely did. But I think that Sirianni now has his own culture here, and that is what led to the reestablishment. I think
Yeah.
there was a lot of woes from losing that first Super Bowl and a lot of bad juju in the locker
Yeah.
room. And I think now that we're coming back through it, we have a winning mentality again. So I have to barely give to Sirianni.
That's that's fair.
But the last guy is Mike McDaniel. Now, he's one of... Who do you take it, Mike McDaniel or Nick Sirianni? Because Mike McDaniel, he's a really good offensive mind. He's run the number one offense before. He's seen the Dolphins make the playoffs.
Sirianni.
Yeah, I would give that to
I
Sirianni.
Sirianni.
I don't even think Mike McDaniel's top 10.
Wow.
I
He's top 10.
don't super like what he does with the Dolphins, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me give you a different one that might be a little closer. Matt
Eberflus.
Matt Eberflus.
Greatest coach of all time.
Well, I'm going with a Matt, but Matt LaFleur.
Ooh.
Because you've seen it that he's a great mind. They run a great offense.
Yeah.
But you've seen 2 years in a row they've struggled in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah.
How long has he been the Packers head coach?
I think 4
Yeah,
years.
4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years. He was there with Rodgers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, to be fair, he's had to work through a lot of like they're a young team.
They are extremely young team. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
He's making it there with a young team. But now this is the year where everyone's a little less young.
Yeah.
And you're going into it. So where are we going there? I'll go ahead and give you mine to leave you guys and think. I think it's Nick Sirianni. I think once again, like Matt LaFleur is a great play caller and he's a great offensive mind.
Yeah.
But I think that just look at the production.
I'm gonna go Sirianni, mostly just because LaFleur's the Packers head coach. And he can do no
I knew
good.
you would say that. I knew you would say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate us all agreeing here because there's, we're going to debate about. But I would go Sirianni too for just what Julian said. I mean, he's established a culture. Nick Sirianni, I like as much as I think Nick Sirianni himself is a little mature. You can't fault what the Eagles are doing.
Yeah.
These last few years.
Yeah.
They've been performing really well, and a lot of that has to do with coaching. So I think Nick Sirianni's probably the better coach than Matt LaFleur.
And I don't think that Matt LaFleur can't pass him. Like it's very, very close.
Yeah.
Because it comes down to the production.
Yeah.
Because if Matt LaFleur was on the Eagles, I think we'd have 2 Super Bowls.
I think you're right.
And so I think that but that's a guess. And all I can take right now is what I've seen and what has happened.
Yeah.
So I would take Nick.
Well, it doesn't help Matt LaFleur that outside of Toyotathon, Jordan Love is a bum.
Yeah, that is true.
So
But like, I want to go back to a point you said earlier. If Matt LaFleur was running the Eagles, they would have 2 Super Bowls. That's why I don't think Nick Sirianni is that good of a coach. I think if you gave other coaches his position, his team, they would be winning a lot more than Nick Sirianni.
And I agree. I don't think that's why I think that he's top 10, but I don't think he's anywhere near 5. Like I think he's maybe the 8 or 9. But and maybe he might not be top 10, but I think that he is a better coach than people make it. People make it out to believe that he's like one of the worst coaches.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other coaches in the NFL, like
Pete Carroll,
Pete Carroll.
Sean McVay?
Well, he's back.
Sean McVay. I think Sean McVay's better.
Yeah.
Listen, I'd put.
Harbaugh's.
Let's see, Reed. I put Andy Reid, McVay,
Mm-hmm.
Harbaugh,
There's
Jim Harbaugh. Wait, Jim?
Jim
Jim is Chargers, John is
is
Ravens.
Oh, John Harbaugh.
I put Jim up there too, to be honest. I mean, I know he hasn't done like a whole lot, but the Chargers.
I mean,
this is supposed to be like a rebuilding year for the Chargers.
but also he already made it to the Super Bowl with the
Yeah.
49ers. Jim.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
Jim is up
Yeah.
there.
that's what I'm saying.
I put Kevin O'Connell in the top 10.
Okay.
Kevin O'Connell's pretty good.
He won Coach of the Year, right?
Yeah, and he just got a fat extension.
But I think the coach of the year was also because of the preseason rankings. Like how they were expected to be so terrible.
Yeah.
That's true.
Who am I? What am I at? Five or six?
I think at 5.
Sean Payton.
Yeah,
Oof, I don't know about
I would
that.
put Sean Payton above.
Put Sean Payton.
I'd put Sean Payton
I guess
above.
Sean Payton all time, yes.
Sean Payton. Tomlin. That's my. This is in no specific order. I'm just
Campbell.
Yeah, Campbell is top 10. Trying to think of like.
You're at 8. I would.
I mean, I'll throw Sirianni in there.
Did you already say Pete Carroll?
No. Yeah, but like Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll because he's back in the NFL.
And then Sirianni, and that would probably be that's a good top 10 for me.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like.
I'm sure there's
I'm gonna
someone
go
out
through
there
the
we're
twos right now.
dissing.
Sean McDermott, Bills head coach.
Oh my God, Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan.
Oh yeah, those two.
Yeah.
I think they're both better than Sirianni, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean.
Mhm.
It's called the. It's
Shanahan is the great choker, but
Shanahan. I think Shanahan's legacy in the NFL.
and Dan Quinn's arguable as well. So I think
Dan
that
Quinn.
Nick Sirianni is definitely
It's.
in the better half of coaches.
I think
He's top 16.
I think
for
the
sure.
top 5 are pretty clear, but
Uh-huh.
I think everything between 6 and 15 is pretty muddy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would.
I think
recommend
you could make an argument for anyone to be in any position in those last
that
10.
little upper chunk.
Yeah.
Well, and then I think the last thing I want to talk about is NFL honors. That was on Thursday.
Yeah.
Very fun to watch. I didn't like the Snoop Dogg. I liked some of the Snoop Dogg bits, but it was uncomfortable to watch when he was just roasting everyone. It was just like this doesn't feel like the thing. This doesn't feel like the place to do that.
I did
But
not watch it.
Yeah,
yeah.
neither did I. to
Saw
be
some
fair.
clips.
it was
but
still
I
fun. It was still
Yeah,
fun.
I bet it was a lot of fun.
But so what do you guys think about the Josh Allen MVP? I think a lot of people are saying that should have been Lamar. There's me who said it should be Saquon, but
I think Saquon won Offensive Player of the Year, and I think that's
yeah,
what he deserved.
I agree that it's the quarterback or the MVP is very rarely going to be a running back. I think that honestly, if Jalen Hurts didn't have all the tush pushes, and you looked at probably the 30-some touchdowns Saquon would have had off that.
Yeah.
Not 30 from the tush push, but 30 total,
Yeah,
counting
yeah.
the tush, but one's taken away from that. And that's through including the postseason. But I think you look at that, and he would have been MVP if that was the case. But I think it should have been Josh or Lamar.
I definitely think you're right. It should have been Joshua Lamar.
But I think I always feel like the voters are a year late half the time. Like last year, I
Yeah.
think Mahomes should have won it instead of Lamar, and this year it's like Lamar should have won it, and they gave it to Josh.
Yeah. I like, unfortunately, what Dan Orlovsky said, because I hate Dan Orlovsky. I think he's an idiot. But I liked what he said because he voted for Josh Allen.
Yeah,
And he was talking about the most valuable player. And I agree. I think Josh Allen added the most value to his team out of any team in the NFL. I think if you had thrown Lamar Jackson on that roster, I don't think the Bills would have. I mean, what were they? 12-5? Did they go 12-5?
I think so.
I do not think they would have been 12-5. I think they would have had a winning record, but and
I had one more win than the Ravens. I know that.
Yeah, because I think the Ravens were 11-6, weren't they? Or were they 10-7?
That's 11-6 or 10-7 sounds right.
Yeah.
But I think it was 12-5 for the Bills.
I think if you were to switch their positions, I think.
The Bills were 13-4. The Ravens were 12.
Oh wow, okay. I think if you were to switch their positions, like if you were to put Lamar on the Bills and Josh Allen on the Ravens this year, I think the Ravens would be Super Bowl bound
Okay. I like that. I like that.
because they have a better receiving core overall, in my opinion. They have
You think the Ravens have a better
than
receiver
Keon
core?
Coleman and Khalil Shakir.
and Amari Cooper?
Amari Cooper.
You think
What's Amari
that
Cooper
Zay
done?
Flowers,
What's Amari Cooper
Nelson
done?
Aguilar, and Rashad Bateman?
Rashad Bateman's been
and Mark Andrews and Mark Andrews.
Rashad Bateman did a lot.
Mark
towards the
Andrews
end
has
of
been doing nothing. He dropped that ball in that game.
Yeah, he did do that,
Yeah,
but
but that's-
this second half of the season, I mean, he did
Mark-
not do anything the first half.
I
The
don't.
second half of the season, he's been on fire.
The Bills' wide receiver room is is better than the Ravens for sure.
I
Khalil
disagree.
Shakir
I
is
disagree.
one of the shiftiest guys in the league. All they have to do is give him the ball, and he has like one of the highest yards after catch.
I think if you put Zay Flowers on the Bills, he is wide receiver 1 immediately. I
agree with that.
I don't think anyone on the Bills receiving is better than Zay Flowers.
Mm-hmm. I think Zay Flowers wasn't at that. Before I say something really stupid, Zay Flowers wasn't at the Bills game, right? He was still out.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. Wasn't he out for that?
I feel like he was out for that game, right, Julian?
Yeah,
Let me look it up.
I think he was out for that
so.
that conference game.
Which one?
Zay
I know
Flowers.
he was out
against
for.
Bills.
I know he was out for a playoff game.
I think he was out for 2.
Well, I know, but like I don't remember if it was the one against the Bills or it was the one against the Steelers. Because they played the Steelers, right?
Yeah, play the Steelers. Man, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, he was out.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think Zay Flowers on the Ravens, like if they had him on the Ravens, that would have been a different story.
Okay, but
Yeah.
here, let me tell you a stat right now about Khalil Shakir. He's 3rd in yards after catch in the league, behind Jamar Chase and Devon Achane. Got 100 targets. He has 1 drop on 100 targets.
Okay.
76 receptions. He hit 800 receiving yards, and 597 of them were yards after catch. He is. If we're just ranking them one by one, I think that Amari Cooper and Zay Flowers right now are very similar. Zay Flowers struggles a lot with drops, and Amari Cooper is just older and not as productive as he was. But then if you go, that leaves Khalil Shakir and Nelson Aguilar.
I think Khalil Shakir is better than Nelson Aguilar, but
and then Keon Coleman and Rashad Bateman. I mean, that's a toss-up. But Coleman's good. He's a rookie. He's solid.
Coleman's good for a rookie.
But I think Rashad Bateman's better than Keon Coleman.
I think Rashad Bateman is slightly better than Keon Coleman.
Okay,
I think Zay Flowers is this year miles better than Amari Cooper.
I agree with that because, I mean, I'm just going off of things I remember vaguely hearing, but I don't think Amari Cooper has done that much for the Bills.
He may have 1 or 2 touchdowns since
The trade?
the trade. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think Amari Cooper's done that much for the Bills.
yeah.
And I mean, Zay Flowers has done a lot. And then you got Mark Andrews versus like Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, and Mark Andrews wins that.
I feel like talking about Amari Cooper on the Bills is like talking about Jerry Rice on the Seahawks.
Yeah.
It's just like an end of career thing where he got traded, or he's playing with a different team, but he's old and he's not doing well.
Yeah.
Like he's a great receiver.
Oh yeah.
In his
Super
career,
talented.
super good.
You know
He's
what?
Just old.
I will say that Amari Cooper has had 14 drops this year. And
Like just with the Bills?
yeah. Well, no, with everything.
The whole.
That's Adonai Mitchell's stat line right there.
Well, Jerry Judy's first, and then it's Amari Cooper, and then Cortland Sutton, then Jamar Chase. So I don't know.
Most drops.
Yeah, for most drops.
That's probably because Jamar Chase is getting targeted like
17,000 times per game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Triple Crown winner. right there.
They are gonna be in cap hell when they have to give Jamar Chase that money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
You see Joe Burrow's putting pressure on them to sign T. Higgins.
oh God,
I don't know how they signed T. Higgins, Jamar Chase,
how much cap space do they have?
keep Joe Burrow and Trey Hendrickson.
They don't. They
They
won't.
won't. They're not to let one go.
Well,
And if
Joe
Trey
Burrow's
goes,
Joe Burrow's going to take a pay cut, and I don't like you said.
Drew.
They already have paid Trey Hendrickson, so I don't think that.
Well, they haven't paid for one more
Might trade
year.
him. Might trade him to the Colts.
Oh God, the Bengals only have $47.5 million projected for the 2025-2026 season, which is
If they restructure Burrow's contract, though, it should be fine.
yeah. But I mean,
You think they'll keep T. Higgins?
I don't think they'll keep T. Higgins, but I think they'll have to
I
pay
think they'll
Jamar Chase at least.
Why would they have to pay Jamar?
He's coming. This is his last year on contract, I think.
I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll pay T. Higgins, and then I think they'll pay T. Higgins for this year, and or give him a contract, and then if they can't get a contract done with Jamar, they can trade T. Higgins. I don't think that they.
I think that would be a terrible GM move. I think you saw. I think Jamar Chase is the best receiver in the NFL right now. This
I
year.
agree
This year.
with that. No, I think he's
This
better than
year,
Justin.
Justin
This year.
Jefferson's better.
No,
Wait, this year. You think Justin Jefferson this year is better
I
than
think-
Jamar Chase?
I think that Justin Jefferson is better.
Justin Jefferson was good, but
Jamar Chase won the.
Jamar.
I know he won the Triple Crown, but also because Joe Burrow is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold.
Yeah, but Sam Darnold. Also
Sam
had an
Darnold
incredible
pooped his
year.
pants the whole second half of the season.
Yeah, but like Jamar Chase is. I think Jamar Chase is just better than Justin Jefferson.
It's close, but I think that Justin Jefferson is better.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's like easy out there to say one's better than the other, but it's close. But I think Jamar Chase is better because Jamar Chase this season, Jamar Chase just has the stats to prove it.
I would say this year Jamar Chase is clearly the number one guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I think he is the main reason that Bengals offense was so well. Did played so well. I mean, they didn't have a running back. Well, I guess Chase Brown did pretty well.
Yeah, Chase Brown did okay.
T. Higgins was out for like how many weeks? Like 4 or 5? He was out for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Their tight end one is Mike Gesicki.
He actually had
He's not as bad as you're
he
making
had a
him out
decent
to be.
season.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but it's Mike Gesicki,
It's not when you think of tight ends, you don't think of Mike Gesicki.
No. Yeah, he's not even close to like a Travis Kelce or George Kittle.
Yeah, of course not.
No.
So good though.
I mean, Justin Jefferson only had 200 less yards than Jamar Chase.
That's a decent amount.
Yeah.
I mean, all I'm saying is Jamar Chase had a crazy season, but it's also because Joe Burrow had a crazy season. Sam Darnold is nowhere near Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Who do you think would be better if they both had Joe Burrow? Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase?
I think still Jamar Chase because Jamar Chase also has what's his name? Jordan Addison, right?
Yeah.
I was trying to think of the wide receiver 2 for the Vikings because how many targets did Justin Jefferson get compared to Jamar Chase?
Yeah.
Like who they?
Jamar Chase had 24 more receptions.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
and Justin Jefferson averaged more yards per reception.
Yeah, I was gonna think that. I don't know. That's a good question. Who would be better if they both had Joe Burrow?
I mean, you can look at when they were at LSU. They all played together at LSU.
Yeah, look at when they played together at LSU. But I think this season you can't say Justin Jefferson's better than Jamar Chase. Just you gotta look at
this season, no, because obviously. But I'm just saying, in general, Justin Jefferson is a better. All right. Well, I don't even know what. All right. Jamar.
Yeah, everyone's.
Chase versus Justin.
Let me think. This is where I get out of my depth in my football knowledge. I don't know the stats well enough to be able to.
All right, you pull up Justin Jefferson. I'll pull up Jamar Chase.
Yeah. I'll entertain the viewers.
Hey, say something funny, bro.
Hold on. I'll think of, don't put your hand away from the soundboard.
No, it's not even near the soundboard, bro.
Yeah. It's not like caressing the buttons.
Yeah. Guess who was wide receiver 2 in fantasy? Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase was 1. We're arguing between the 1 and the 2.
I didn't have either of them on my team, by the way, when I won it all, just in case you're curious.
Oh my gosh.
I had Nico Collins and Chris Godwin.
So in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
So 2018, Justin Jefferson. So by the way, just to put it into perspective, how good Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase was in college, he was out for more than half of his freshman year. Sorry. And was still a top 10 pick after his sophomore year.
Wow.
His sophomore year, he had 1,780 yards and 20 touchdowns.
That's
Off of 84 receptions. So that comes out to
I'm sorry. What year was that?
2019 when they won the Natty.
And how many yards did he have?
1,780 and 20 touchdowns. Average of 21.
Wait, how many receptions?
84.
84. Okay, that same year that they played together, Justin Jefferson had he had 30 more receptions, less yards, and 2 less touchdowns.
So Justin Jefferson had more receptions, but less of everything else?
But he had 30 more receptions, which is crazy. But how many games played did they have?
Let me see.
I assume he played every game.
I think he played
I don't think he got hurt
that year.
Yeah, I assume.
Oh, why am I getting an ad now?
That's crazy though that both of them had over 1,500 yards in a season, and both of them had 18 or 20 touchdowns.
Oh, sorry. Jamar Chase was not out his freshman year.
That wide receiver 3 was not getting the ball at all.
No, yeah, he was not touching the ball.
14 games his sophomore year.
So he played that 2019-20 season.
Yes.
That's crazy. So yeah, Jamar outperformed him that year.
Yeah. So then, when they both had,
But Justin Jefferson's better.
Oh,
yeah.
All right, there we go.
Justin Jefferson's better.
Hold on, now play the goofy noise now on the soundtrack.
Wait, no. What's the other one?
What's the alert?
Dog shit take alert. I still think Justin Jefferson's better in the NFL just because of some of the plays he's made, but
Oh yeah, he's made some just incredible plays. They both have.
Yeah.
well, I mean, they're both going to go in the Hall of Fame anyway, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all right, well, I think we've been talking for like 45 minutes. So,
Okay.
unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about, we can go ahead and end it here.
Yeah.
Colts win the
What are we
division
gonna
next year,
do?
guys. Thoughts?
We're going to do the touchdown challenge?
We'll do that. We'll do that after. I'll record that on my phone.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next week. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. This podcast is produced by Student Media. Student Media is a student organization at the University of Evansville. Student Media produces the Crescent magazine published online and in print 3 times a semester. Student Media produces several podcasts and utilizes design, photography, video, and sound for its experimental and academic learning in journalistic endeavors and engaging storytelling. Student Media elevates the voice of the student body and connects the campus and community to important information and points of view.